today's top 10 is the top 10 worst game developers. And now some bangers in the past. They could have a banger right now when it comes to the game. But that's not why they can be the worst game developer. There's certain practices that they have in place, such as DEI, and things that are detrimental when it comes to the actual game design. All right, Grant, I think it's my turn to go first.
Go ahead.
So let me put that first image up. There we go. Okay. All right, Grant, my number 10.
Insomniac game.
So Insomniac, Spider-Man, the Spider-Man games, right? So awesome, right? Great games, I guess you can say. But let's talk about the route they're going now when it comes to their DEI policies and everything like that. Let's talk about the new Wolverine game coming out. And let's talk about why are you making Jean Grey fugly? Like possibly the worst rendition of Jean Grey I have ever seen.
And she's literally one of the hottest characters in Marvel.
But if you went to Spider-Man 2, they did the same thing with some of the characters. I'm not saying Sweet Baby Incorporated was involved, but it sure as hell felt like they were hands-on with a lot of those characters. And it came to like the storytelling, stop. People want a comic book, a Spider-Man game based off Spider-Man, okay? Keep it simple. Keep it to the comics. Keep it to, when it comes to the bad guys and stuff. Okay, do your own version of these bad guys if you want. Okay, but make them cool and make the dialogue good too. Okay, no one wants social justice issues swamped into their dialogue. They go play these games to escape that world, to escape what they see on Netflix and everything. Every 24/7, every hour of the fucking day, they see this shit in the news or whatever. They want fantasy and they want what they grew up on when it came to comics. Every rendition, except for some reason, you decided that fuck it, we're going to make her ugly. But that's just one of many examples for Insomniac games, okay? Now, are they the worst gaming company developer? They're actually a legit developer, dude. But they're going down a road that they're not going to be able to recover from, and they're going to get layoffs.
Yep.
And I think Insomniac already had some layoffs this year. So what are you going to do? Give what gamers want, or are you going to go down this road of just push ideological crap and or DI-generated nonsense?
All right,
Grant.
My number 10. A lot of these are probably going to be controversial because they're going to be like, why would you put that there? But here we go. My number 10.
Rocksteady, huh?
Now, Rocksteady, they used to have some really good games like the Batman Arkham series. Fantastic games, right? But then as time went on, they decided they wanted to develop a game, and that game is called what? Suicide Squad. Kill the Justice League. Yuck. Why do you think that is, Ed? We've talked about this before. Remember Mrs. Freeze from the thing with the haircut and stuff like that?
Yeah, I remember that fucking garbage. Yeah, all right. So Mrs. Freeze, dude, this is a perfect example what we're talking about. Exactly. You couldn't go with the fucking comic book character, Mrs. Freeze. You couldn't do that? Exactly. You had to make this fucking goblin that I don't know where she came from. Like the character design is off the charts. Like it is far beyond me what they were trying to get with this character design for Mrs. Freeze. And they dropped that DLC fucking hit rock bottom.
Yep. You're talking about a fall from grace. I mean, you created the Batman Arkham series. Fantastic. I mean, every game was like a 9+, great game. And then you shit out the Justice League. Why? Why did everything look like that? Because everything that we just talked about is why Rocksteady Studios is on the way down and on the way out. Trash. You know what? Good old reliable. Let's remake and remaster Arkham's Batman Arkham. They're coming. Oh, it's coming.
It's coming.
They'll do all of them. They'll get a remaster. They'll do a PS5 remaster and then a 8K remaster. I mean, this game will get remastered for 30 years. They'll get bought out because they're on their way out. Oh, that's my number 9. Oh, yes. Go ahead. Let's talk about it.
Dude, Bethesda Studios. What in the hell has happened to them?
Man. Okay. So,
go ahead.
Well, let's talk about it. For the people who don't know who Bethesda is, they made one of the greatest RPGs of all time, Skyrim, right?
Even before that.
Well, yeah, even before that. But I'm just saying, like, if for the people who are younger than us, that's probably their most notable game. Like, I mean, of course, they had Fallout.
It's a major one, yes.
Yeah, Fallout and stuff like that. But if you were to say, like, their stamp of game, their game of games, it's Skyrim. Now, that game was a masterpiece. I mean, you would have to be fucked up in the head to say that was a shitty game, right?
All right. So they also had most recent game, Starfield, right? And they're working on Elder Scrolls 6, I guess. Yeah. I mean, we haven't heard anything new from that for a while. But they did something funny. Like, so when Skyrim came out, they decided for Elder Scrolls Online, right? Which I don't know where they were going with that. Like, Elder Scrolls is okay MMORPG, but it's not. It doesn't feel like an Elder Scrolls. You know what I mean? So they went from Skyrim to that, and they completely ruined the feel of Elder Scrolls. Now, then they went to Starfield. I enjoyed playing. I like the space epic portion of it, but everything just started to get so repetitive so fast. And you had this huge galaxy. You could go to all these planets. I mean, the concept was just there, dude. But the storytelling and the character like that, I mean, they got to start getting their engine into the new age here, dude.
Yeah.
They got to bring it better because the character movements, their faces, their dialogue is just so off-putting.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't work anymore. And they're not looking at their competition and saying, okay, we need to evolve from that. And they're just not doing it. They're just going backwards. So Bethesda, and Fallout 4, I like Fallout 4. I thought it was a good game, but they're falling behind. Like big time.
And their genre was Fallout 76.
Yeah, that's become an issue too.
Yep.
But it's they got to get into, how can I say this? They got to get their engine into the next gen, and they got to start looking at their competition because they got a lot of competition now that's kind of pulling ahead of them. They got it for Elder Scrolls 6, I guess. It's got to be, they got to knock it out of the park, dude.
Yeah.
They're going to just falter if that's not a good game. All right, Grant, go ahead.
Well, that was my number 6 as well. So go ahead. I mean, my number 9 or whatever number we're
9.
on. Yeah. So you're on number 8.
All right. So let me pull up the next one. I was debating for these guys. I'm about to play one of their games here in a minute. Okay. Blizzard.
It's not mine, but it's further up, but yes.
Blizzard. All right. This is where I want to bring this up again.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to their Diablo Immortal reveal, even before that, I would say, but like it really was like the signaling of Blizzard does not know they don't know their core audience anymore.
Yeah, they've lost
that. They've completely lost touch of who they are and how they became who, I would say where they were at in the late 2000s, early 2010s, maybe.
Yeah.
But when they did that Diablo Immortal reveal and they were talking about taking Diablo Mobile,
boy.
And that dude stood up, went to the microphone and was like, is this a fucking joke? And everyone started booing him. And everyone else was like sitting back like, he's right though.
Yeah.
Like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to you're appealing to a mobile game community just for money. And you're trying to appeal to the East by appealing to who you are.
Yeah.
And boy, were they quick to come out with the Diablo 4 reveal trailer after that.
This was such a disaster. I'll never forget that the Path of Exile team bought Diablo4.com. Do you remember that? When you went to it, it went to Path of Exile.
Yeah, those guys, Gearworks. Yeah, they were pretty good. Or Grinding Gear Games. But then, they like Warcraft. I don't know what they're trying to do with Warcraft. Like, what is Warcraft now? I mean, like I'm talking about retail Warcraft, right? I'm talking about classic. But like Warcraft now, I mean, I don't know. Like the storytelling has gone out of whack. I mean, there's some cool aspects of the War Within they added. I mean, they add some cool stuff here and there, but it's very tiresome. Like it's just tired. You know what I mean? Like, and Diablo 4, it was cool concept at the beginning. I was really excited for it. I thought everything was great at the time. Then there was just, I understand it's an early game and you need seasons for end game stuff, right? But like it was just not there. Like I got to level 100 and I was like, okay, I'm done.
Well, where they messed up, and I'll say this, is because they had such a weak season 1. It was so bad that they lost a lot of their core character, like core audience.
They had 3 straight weak seasons.
Yeah. But I remember that first one being like the vampire one was so bad that me and you didn't come back and play till like season 4, 5. Yeah. You know what
I thought they really brought it back to what Diablo was when they brought in Infernal Hordes.
Yeah.
And then you got me really going like, oh man, this expansion after this season's going to, the expansion is going to bring it. You're going to see Mephisto, you're going to fight one of the greater demons. Well, that ended up being like the ending to like fighting. You don't really fight the end game end boss Mephisto. I'm just like, what are y'all doing here? You should have had a awesome boss fight against Mephisto, but you didn't. You fought his wolf form, and that was pretty much it.
Yep.
And the season that came with that was okay, but like it left me wanting more. That being said, they're ramping it up. They're trying to, they're bringing more stuff to it, more customization options for your character, vice the bland Paragon tree and stuff like that. They're adding that in. They're keeping some of the old stuff. You're seeing it start to develop into what it should be.
Yep.
They got to bring in, I don't know how they're going to do, but they got to start bringing that old school Diablo boss. Like they got to bring, I'm not saying they got to bring Diablo, but to give me those major bosses.
What's crazy?
You had Lilith. That was cool. You had Lilith, but she's really your only major boss in the game.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what Path of Exile did that Diablo should have done? The most successful Diablo has to be Diablo 2, right?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
So Path of Exile took a lot of those aspects of Diablo 2. I'm not going to sit there and say they 100% stole it, but they about 80% stole Diablo 2, basically, with their own spin. But they took their core things, like don't get me wrong, it's having to go back to town and all that stuff. That was very Diablo 2. I mean, you didn't have 16 bags and a whole chest full of that you can put 9 million things in and all this other stuff. You know what I mean? Like they took that stuff, they took the drops and all this other stuff and the hard bosses. Like the random hard bosses in Diablo 2. And Blizzard didn't do that. That's what's baffling, is they didn't take their own IP. And again, instead of trying to take the wheel that was successful and just add on to it, you try to make the wheel square, or you tried to make the car fly. And guess what? It flew into a wall.
Dude.
And the other company took your wheel. They hijacked your wheel. They did. I don't care. They jacked your wheel. They put you on blocks and they kept on riding. And now they're riding high.
They're at patch 0.101C. I don't know what it is, but they're not even on 0.2 yet for their version of the game, Path of Exile 2.
I mean, how
their end game is just taken from PoE 1 when it comes to the map, the Atlas, and is still more interested in anything since they're on season 7 now. Yeah, it's better than anything Diablo.
Imagine how you must feel. How long has Diablo been out? 30 years. 20 going on 30 years roughly. Yeah. So you've had this IP for going on 30 years. You have a new company that's probably been around for 10 years. Walk into your house, take your IP and then make it better and then stomp all over you with it. With less people. They took their balls out, teabagged you and dragged them all over your face. And now here you are trying to play catch up, because this for every season that they put out, I feel like Blizzard is playing catch up. Doesn't matter. I mean, it could be good, but they're still playing catch up. They're so far behind now that every season they put out, because you remember, look how fast these seasons are coming out. Like they just had, it just was seasons. That's why I was confused about the number. I was like, isn't it supposed to be season 6? Like, I don't even think I played season 6 because it was season 5 felt like
6 was within the expansion.
That's what I'm saying. It felt like, but it felt like it was like 3 weeks ago. Is what it felt like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, Grant. What number was that?
Number 8, Konami. Is that on your list?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it. So Konami is, and I'm not talking about past Konami. Go ahead.
Before you start, Konami's worst decision that they've ever done was fire the legend himself, Hideo Kojima.
Correct. We're going to talk about that.
That was the worst business decision in gaming that I can think of in the last God knows when.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. So people know Konami from games like Metal Gear Solid, Contra from back in the day. So we're not talking about that time. We're talking about now. Now I get that they came out with a new Silent. That's fine.
Well, it's a remake.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, it was a remake. But not only did they have reputation of mistreatment of their employees, they canceled games like Silent Hills and Metal Gear Survive. All games that were supposed to be made by who? Say it again. What is his name?
Kojima.
The most legendary game developer of our time, right? Wow. So what did they decide to do? Instead of doing this, instead of taking their IP, making a new Contra, making, games that they're known for, what did they decide to do, Ed? They started pushing heavy microtransaction, heavy mobile, and
pachinko. I know what pachinko is.
Instead of these games.
Played Go in Japan when I was there.
Exactly. That's what they started putting their time into, because they thought, oh boy, this is what people want. Yeah. People want to play pachinko if you're 76.
Yeah, dude. Konami.
Such a fall from grace. Konami. Whenever you hear Konami back in the 90s, oh boy, you knew it was going to be a great game. regardless.
Early 2000s too, don't?
Yes, I'm saying I'm just taking it back. I'm taking it back to times before you even had reviews, Nintendo magazines. You knew if the game was made by Konami, you were in good hands. The game was going to be good, right? Now it's like, what the hell is going on?
I don't know, dude.
All right, number 7.
I think they will bring us a Castlevania.
I would like for them to bring a Castlevania, but it'll probably be more like Castlevania.
Dude.
Yeah, porn. I don't know.
So Konami was on my list too, kind of a little bit up more. I'm gonna just let it go.
Yeah,
all right,
that's fine. You're on number 7.
Well, let's skip to number 6. That was my number 7. Or do you need to do number 7 also?
Oh,
yeah, you just did 8.
So my number 7 is EA Sports is not in the game.
This is my number 6. Just EA though, in general.
Okay. Well, EA's known for their sports games mainly. That's what they're known for. When you say EA Sports, it's in the game. All right. Now, there was a time when EA Sports did everything. They did baseball. I mean, they had college baseball, college football, and I know they just came out with a new college football, Madden, and for a time, there was a time when Madden was kind of shitty. NFL Game Day was over, it was the King Dick then and all this other stuff. So what they've done is they started making really good games in the early 2000s. Nobody will ever forget Madden 2004. Why? Because you played with rookie Michael Vick. Michael Vick, the fastest man alive in any game. I mean, anytime you hiked the ball, you didn't throw with Michael Vick. You just ran. Nobody can catch him. Everybody played with the Falcons. Even if you didn't like the Falcons, you knew the only way you were going to win is play with the Falcons, right? These games started getting very, very innovative. They were on the play like, oh, wow, what are they going to do next? They started doing the combine. They started doing, you could take your college, how you did in college from the college EA game to the, you can port it over. You get drafted, you play college and then you play the Madden, you get drafted and all this. So that was cool. That was cool. Then around Madden 2011, 2012 started becoming the same game. It was the same fucking game. Like basically, like I said, they took the same game. They just put they updated the stats. They put the new draftees in there and they put some new slapdick on the cover. That's all they did, right? They canceled the college baseball game, which was a good game. I don't know why they did it. I get it. College baseball is not popular around the world. It's mainly more popular in the South than it is anywhere else. But I mean, they had college basketball, all this other stuff, right? So what they started doing is they started focusing mainly on Madden. And then they started going into games like Star Wars Battlefront 2. Why was it a terrible game?
Well, you had to buy everything. You had to buy.
Yep. EA became a cesspool of microtransactions.
You know what's funny about EA? They weren't the developer of these games, but they were the publisher. You came to your early Dragon Ages and what's other ones they did? I mean, they even did the Jedi Survivor and all that stuff. But anyway, like that late 2000s, early 2010s, they were putting out some good stuff, man. Especially like Mass Effect and all that stuff.
And I want you to know, EA is the reason, because they shut down Maxis Studios. Do you know who Maxis Studios is? Mm-hmm. Maxis Studio is SimCity. So because we don't have a new SimCity, you want to thank EA for that. So that's also another big fuck you to them, because SimCity is a great game.
Oh, dude, I know.
Now I'm mad all over again.
My mom loves SimCity.
Dude, for people who don't know, Ed's mom is like the perfect SimCity player. Like she balanced, I've never seen somebody like balance the budget. She was like
low
the perfect
taxes and everything.
She had she had like the perfect game. Like me, I'm bankrupt by the end of the year. I'm having to raise taxes just to get money in. Like your mom was making money. I remember when I walked in, she had like a Metropolis.
All right, that was your number 7?
Number 7.
All right. Well, my number 6 is EA.
Okay, we'll talk about it.
What's your number 6? We just talked about EA. I'm not going over EA.
Okay.
All right. So what's your number 6?
343 Industries.
Buddy, let's talk about them real quick.
343 Industries.
But yeah, I got some things to say about them. All right, go ahead.
So after the fall of Bungie, these guys were strapping up their nuts, strapping up the backpack for why, Ed? What were they in charge of? They were in charge of one thing and one thing only.
That would be
out of Xbox. Out of Xbox. Correct. They were tasked with continuing the Halo franchise. Now, don't get me wrong. You're basically on cruise control because Bungie did such a great job, right?
Yeah, they were fantastic. Halo 1 to 3, some of the best they are some of the best Halos ever made.
Correct. Because 343 Industries decided to make a Halo 4. And boy, was it not well received. Now, I didn't play it personally because I didn't have an Xbox. But from the reviews, it was worse. And what do you do, Ed, when you make a bad game? You would think that you would want to go back to the drawing board, right? And say, where did we go wrong? because obviously we can't make another Halo. It'd get even worse reception.
Well,
Well,
they
they just made Halo 5 and it did just that. It was actually, people thought Halo 4 couldn't be bad. Halo 5 was even, and then what they did is they tried to triple down, and then they came out with Halo Infinite.
Nelson said he stopped playing EA sports games like 13 years ago. That's about when I stopped playing too.
I did play the new college just because I haven't,
you have to play that.
I have to play the new college just because I was like, man.
That's what, 10 years since we had one of those?
But man, it didn't have that magic. I played one season and I didn't play it again.
All right.
Before 3 Industries.
Let me tell you, dude. I didn't have them on my top 10.
You should have. Maybe you should go back and fit them in somewhere.
I could easily fit them in. But there's just something that isn't, I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked Halo Infinite. I liked it. But maybe because it was just a different type of Halo. It was like open world-ish Halo. But they're just missing I compare them to the damn Paramount Halo series show, TV show.
They try to go right outside the box.
Missing who Master Chief is. They're not giving that same Halo magic that you got from Halo 1 through 3, or even you can go to ODST or some other ones like that.
Correct. I mean, that's the thing is they try to think outside the box, but doing that, they forgot to take the core beliefs and values of the old Halos and add that to it. It's like they took everything that was good about Halo, threw it out, and started thinking outside the box and just added a bunch of shit to it.
And I like Destiny 1. It was okay.
That game was so repetitive. But that was the problem with that game.
It was repetitive, but I enjoyed playing those more than any of the new Halo.
I did. It was fun. I enjoyed Destiny 1 a lot. What I didn't like about it is, like you said, all the levels were the same. You're doing the same, there was nothing different about the levels. They all look mixed together. I was like, I would actually think to myself, hey, I've played this before. That's because I have. I've played it 3 times before, actually.
Yeah. All right. So that's
number 6.
All right. So let's go to number 5. Oh, my number 5, Grant. Let's talk them associated with one we just talked about, which is EA.
Yeah. BioWare.
Thank you for ruining what could potentially have been a good Dragon Age game. No one else did that. You ruined your own game. And then, guess what? Corin Bush, the gendermancer from BioWare that obviously was the creator of Tosh and wanted that crap put into a fantasy world.
I think that's like the only thing that he was like, all right, guys, y'all do whatever you want, but you got to put my character in this game.
This character in.
Yeah.
So she's gone, or he's gone. Whatever.
It's gone.
But BioWare is floundering. They're floundering right now. They don't know where they're going to go. You know, they completely missed their sales mark for the new Dragon Age. So where are you going to go from here? They said they're working on their next big game. Okay. Well,
they started working on another Assassin's Creed.
What?
I mean, that's not BioWare. Man, that's Ubisoft. I'm thinking,
what are you talking, son?
I'm so confused. They're basically the same.
Dragon Age, BioWare, right? But BioWare used to be the cream of the crop, dude. I mean, all the way up to Inquisition, Dragon Age Inquisition. You know, I mean, let's stop. Mass Effect Andromeda was a hot piece of garbage. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But Inquisition was a good Dragon Age game. The original Mass Effect games were fantastic. All right. They were fantastic, but they were just a great company. And now, what do you think? Why is they're on our list? Because they're a perfect example of what we just talked about early on our main subject: the bloat of DEI, hiring the wrong people, mismanagement. You know, the creative process that gets hindered by DEI. All this stuff is your own fault. Your game didn't meet sales when it comes to Dragon Age of Velgard because it's your fault. Stop blaming gamers. You know, I used to hold BioWare up here, like on the top of the mountain, right?
Yeah.
From the games they used to just deliver you great fantasy, sci-fi epics, but they no longer do because they decided to go the, I guess, ideological route and implement a bunch of DEI crap and hire people that just didn't belong there. So your fault. All right, Grant, go ahead.
Number 5. Ed, you know who Randy
Pitchford? What about him?
He is the head leadership of
Gearbox. Borderlands, huh?
Yes, but we're not talking about Borderlands because for every gem these guys put out, they had 17 turds like Aliens, Colonial Marines, and Battleborn. Now, Gearbox Studios, not only were they, I mean, don't get me wrong, Borderlands was great game, but when you put out shit nuggets like this that are so bad, then you can't bounce back from that. Not only is your leadership terrible, he used to get on Twitter and have all this erratic behavior, and then he decided he wanted to put out even more underwhelming sequels and spinoffs. Gearbox Studios, flush them down the toilet.
Dude, I remember when Borderlands 2 came out. Oh God, that was like
A century
when
ago.
Borderlands came out. But I mean, yeah, it was like 13 years, 13 to 12 years ago when Borderlands 2 came out. It was a great game too because it introduced a new kind of art style for that FPS genre. But Borderlands 2 was just, cream of the crop when it came to Borderlands. And then just everything just started to. And after that game, dude, Gearbox just started to go down the hole. Like big time. Borderlands 3 just, it wasn't like pure garbage, but it was not anything close to Borderlands 2. They tried to do like Tiny Tina's Wonderland, which was again okay, but it was just weird. It was just not what not what you wanted from a Borderlands game.
Yeah.
So Gearbox, they've fallen from grace too. We're going to see how the Borderlands 4 is going to be, but don't be telling me that game's gonna be awesome when you guys allow that studio to put out that crap movie, dude. Oh my God. Like that is not a good segue into your game.
No.
Like, why did they allow them to do that? Who had creative control over that crap?
Yeah.
Obviously, they might have had creative control. I don't know how they are now, but like I'm not hyped for Borderlands 4.
No, I'm not.
You know what I mean? I'm not like I was from going from Borderlands 2 to 3, then kind of a letdown with 3. But I was hyped.
I actually forgot that. I actually forgot it was coming out.
Borderlands 3 back in the day, but now Borderlands 4, I'm just like,
yeah, I forgot it was coming out. Honestly, I did.
It might be good. I don't know, but I'm just not excited for it, honestly.
No.
And then you had like,
number 4.
They even went into Half-Life too. They were involved in Half-Life. They really have fallen from grace, honestly. So hopefully they can bring themselves out of that hole in Borderlands 4, bring them back. But I don't know. My number 4, Grant. It's just them.
It's Xbox.
It's just Microsoft. Like
that was my number 2, by the way.
That's your number 2? Well, I guess we can talk about that too. What are you doing? Like, you plan on coming out with the Xbox Prime, the next console. I don't know. It doesn't feel like you're still into console gaming. I understand PC gaming. Okay. You probably excel at that, but console gaming? I don't think so. Because, like everything is available or will be available on the Sony PlayStation.
Correct.
Gears of War, where is that at? Your DEI practices actually affected Gears of War 5. You gave us a shit product then.
Yep. There was a time, and I remember this. There's a picture out. It was GameCube, PlayStation 2, Cast, and Xbox. All at their show, to present their games and stuff like that.
That was a good
right there.
Good time of gaming right there, dude.
Right there. And that was also the peak of the fight, the war. Because everybody was Nintendo still cared about their graphics at that time, and they're trying to be innovative, and now they don't really care about that anymore.
Was, PlayStation 2 at the end of the day, I think whooped ass.
It's PlayStation 2. PlayStation 2 is still the greatest system ever. I don't care what anybody says.
It was a great golden age of gaming because of the games we got in those different aspects. PlayStation 2 was just still on top of the pedestal there.
My point I'm trying to make is there was a time when Microsoft had take over the gaming world. You know what I mean? And they did for a little. And I'm not going to sit there and say they took over, but they took a bunch of chunk. They took a chunk out of it. They put a flag in the ground. They had games like Halo that if you only wanted to play these games, there's only one system you had to buy to get it.
Listen, dog.
And what they've done now.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jump in here. Dude, back in the Halo 1 to 3 era, in that little era, when Microsoft usually just could come out there with a Halo 2 reveal or Halo 3 reveal, drop that and just walk away.
Yep, that's it.
With swag and everything. Because bam. Oh, it's Halo.
Yeah.
You can't touch us. We got Halo.
That's right.
So
my thing is this. They're not worried about their IP. Nintendo, like I made the comment that Nintendo is going to do whatever they want to do because he was like, well, people don't have to buy a Nintendo if they want to play those games. They can just pirate them. And I was like, well, how many people know how the fuck to do that? Like, how many people know how to pirate these games? You know what I mean? Like, my nephew is 11. I guarantee he doesn't know how to pirate these games. Now, there's probably a percentage of people who does, but it's not enough to work. If you want to play Metroid, you have to buy a Nintendo Switch. Got to. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're not going to find it on any other thing. Sure, you can pirate it, but only 0.1% of people know how to do that. I know how to do that, but I'm not going to sit there and I don't like playing Nintendo games on my PC. I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to play it on the Switch. I want to play it on what it's made for, So my point is Xbox, I'm saying all this to say this, Xbox has waved the white flag. They're done, man. They have put the flag in the ground and saying, you know what, guys, we're giving all our IP to everybody else. Because why would I want? Here's the thing: is if the PlayStation 5 Pro is better than the Xbox, why would I want to buy an Xbox when I can play it on a superior system?
And you know what else makes this worse when it comes to studios they bought?
Yeah,
Activision,
yeah,
Bethesda,
yeah.
they belong to them.
Yeah. What they should have done from the very beginning is shut that shit down. You can only play Diablo on Xbox. You want to play Diablo, you can only play it on Xbox. That's it. I don't give a damn. I don't care. Here's the thing is, at some point you have to say, I don't care about, because, oh, you're going to lose money. You're a $1 billion company. You're a multi-billion dollar company. 10, 20, $30 million is like wiping your ass with a $10 bill to them, you know?
Plus, just all right, this is where we talked about this when it came to like the competition stuff. This is where the competition comes into play by just making those exclusives to your console and or PC, of course, also. But you're talking about your competition and that competitive drive that makes you produce better quality
games,
stuff.
man. That's it, man.
But that is no longer there.
There was a time
of where the road they're heading down. I don't know if they're going to change it, but I think they should. But they're heading down a road that they're saying that we don't need to be competitive in the console market.
There was a time, and this is a little off the beaten path, and this just talks about how it used to be. And some people will know this. Some people might be a little bit younger. The year was 1996, 97, 98, and 99.
Man, those were some good years.
The companies were WCW, and this was called the Attitude Era. Hulk Hogan and the NWO on one side. You had them bringing reality. You didn't know, like, here's the thing is, now everybody knows wrestling's fake. You know, everybody knows it's scripted and all this other stuff. But then there wasn't a lot of magazines out that just told everything, because it was more real. Like, it wasn't like WWF had this thing where they would have like, oh, it's the Goon. He was a hockey player. That was his gimmick. He was a hockey player wrestler. Like, that was childish, you know? Oh, it's a plumber. Oh, whatever. You had people showing up in the back in the parking lot, pulling out their limos and beating the shit out of people. You know, you're like, oh man, that's badass. Like, is that real? You know, it forced Vince McMahon, a man who thrived in kiddie entertainment, plumbers and eat your prayers and say your vitamins, say your prayers and eat your vitamins, and the Macho Man, you know, all this stuff, right? Then he started getting Stone Cold Steve Austin flipping off the bird, girls showing their tits in the arena, thong and bra and panty matches and stuff. Why do you think they did that? Because it put eyes on his product, it took people away from the other, and the other company had to do something similar, right? Because if they started losing audience, well, then they had to do something. And it went all the way back and forth until one company won. Xbox has just put up the white flag and said, you know what, guys? I'm tired. I can't do it anymore. Here you go. We're going to be around, but this is what we're going to do. If you want to put it on the Amiga CD, the CDI, Philips CDI, go for it. We don't care. Go for it.
When I saw that Hyperlink, I think the company's called, come out with the Xbox PlayStation 5 controller, I was like, this is perfect, because Xbox is pretty much just going to give everything to PS5.
Just give it to them.
Your own controller that looks just like I thought it was a perfect product at the perfect time. I don't know what roadmap or game plan they have when they, even after announcing the Xbox Prime, you know, what?
Why would you need to buy that console if you already have one that the games are coming to?
Yeah.
Because eventually, what they're not understanding is there's also another competitor to market, and that's the Steam Deck. If you're putting your games on Steam and all this other stuff, why would I need your system? I got 3 other systems that can play them that are probably more superior. That's right, buddy. The cream rises to the top, brother. Ooh.
Number 3 is, all right, there's one I didn't put on here because I wanted to save them for our rant. So I'm not going to talk about them this top 10, all right? There's one that I wanted to save for our rant. But anyway, I want to bring up Firewalk Studios. Well, excuse me, they don't exist anymore.
Oh, what happened to them?
Well, they developed this game called Concord, and it decided to just be average, nothing different than the rest of their competitors. And they also decided to design some shitty game design character, or they came to their characters, designed shitty characters that appeal to no one, and bam, now their fucking studio doesn't exist anymore.
Well, surely they didn't spend a lot of money on it.
$500 million on a game that didn't go anywhere, that had maybe about 100 players on max on Steam, and God knows probably like another 100 on Sony PlayStation 5.
You know what's funny is if you say those numbers out loud and then think how many people work for Firewalk Studios, that means their own people that work for the company weren't even playing it.
Well, I think those were the only people playing it on Steam.
Oh, man.
All right, so Firewalk Studios, or what I could like to call them, Firewoke Studios.
Concord was terrible. Yes,
Concord was terrible. And yes, Nelson, you're right. Steam operating system is coming up. It is better than Windows.
Man,
that's why new handhelds that are come out, like Lenovo or whatever it's called, and of course all the new Steam Decks, they're going to the Steam operating system because that's how people are going to play their games. Valve has taken over. Valve literally does nothing.
I knew eventually it would happen. I knew eventually that Windows would be taken over.
Yeah.
But for a while, Windows was perfect. Windows was great, and you're right. I never thought I would be alive long enough to see the fall of Microsoft, but I guess.
So anyway, Firewalk. Well, I mean, you don't exist anymore, so I can't really put him there.
Firewoke.
They just don't exist anymore because they decided to just make a not even a mid game, just a shit game. And this was, if you looked at their mission statement on their website, which doesn't exist anymore either, I don't think, was all about the DEI, diversity, inclusion. So they hired a bunch of people that didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and they didn't hire merit base. And this is one of the aspects that's going to come to your studio if you take DEI and keep it, it's going to fail.
Open doors, closed doors. You're right. That's right. And the thing about it is you're seeing a lot of this. Number 3. This hurts my heart, buddy. Square Enix.
Oh, you put them on there, man. We got a whole segment.
Square Enix, fine. But I got to talk about them right now because they're. I hate it because here's the thing: Final Fantasy VII, which came out in 1997, which is a remaster and a remake. Dragon Age, which came out like 1989. Dragon Quest, which came out like 1989 or 1991. It's a remake. So my question to you, Ed, is when was the last? I mean, we said this before. We talked about Final Fantasy IX being the last really good Final Fantasy that made you feel good. I'm talking about just from top to bottom. I'm talking about from start to finish, locked in, loaded, that made you feel like a Final, because Final Fantasy VIII was not as good as Final Fantasy VII. That's not Final Fantasy VIII's fault, because it's kind of like the guy that's coaching for Alabama now. When you follow the best game ever, it's kind of hard to live up to the hype. Get what I'm saying? So when you come in, everybody wants you to be undefeated. You're not as good as the GOAT. You're not. Final Fantasy IX, that's why you want to be the game after the game. You don't want to be the next game. You want to be the game after the game, because that way people can't compare you.
I will actually challenge you on this.
You will? Okay. Well, hold on. I'll let you challenge me. But 1 second. Because see, Square Enix also made a game called Marvel's Avengers. And boy, was that terrible. So they tried. No, they tried. Don't get me wrong. They tried. Now, people are like, ooh, but they made Tomb Raider and stuff like that. No. They just took IDOS and Crystal Dynamics IP and, put their spin on it and put their name on it, right? But then they made a shitty game called Babylon's Fall. Ed, do you remember Babylon's Fall?
1 second, I was talking to my daughter.
Okay. Remember that? Yeah. Remember Babylon's Fall? Yeah, what an ass game.
You remember?
Like, if you could put a video game and a BBL right beside each other, they would be the same thing because they're both ass. This is coming from one of the greatest studios of RPGs ever. Yep. Now, don't get me wrong. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a great game. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, great game. And I'm sure the next one will be just as good, but it's not a new game, which goes back to what we're talking about, people being lazy. You're being lazy as fuck and you're not being innovative. What happened to the innovative? Ed, that run from like 1997 to like 2001 for Square Enix, Squaresoft, was legendary.
It was.
They were putting out banger after banger after banger. I'm talking about, you had, what was a Vagrant Story? Then you had Musashi. Then you had Xenogears. And I'm just about game after game after game.
Game during that time, late 90s, you were going to buy it.
You didn't even have to look. And here's the thing is, Final Fantasy VIII was a great game. It just came after an even better game. That's the problem.
Legendary game, God tier game.
Yeah. And that's not that game's fault. Maybe they should have saved that story for another Final Fantasy or something. I don't know. They try to, instead of taking the wheel and keeping it circular, they tried to make the edges a little square, a little octagon, right? It wasn't moving as well as it should have. My point is, it's a legendary company, and I don't think, here's the thing is, I'm in no way saying Square Enix is going out of business and they're going to be shut down, because dude, when you have this kind of legendary status behind you, you're going to live forever. I hope so. I could be wrong, but I hope so. But the problem is the innovative and the creativity behind it is gone. It's gone. Just because you can't just make a guy with a sword and throw some chocobos in there and call it Final Fantasy anymore. You just can't do it. You got to have something different. You have to have something completely to bring those people back.
We brought this up last, or maybe a podcast before, when it came to Square Enix. They need to finish Final Fantasy VII, whatever you're going to call the third one,
and then move on from it.
And then Final Fantasy 17, which would be a perfect time, 10 Final Fantasy 7s later, perfect time to give us the next 7.
Yeah, sure.
Have movies made of it. Have remakes 20, 30 years from now about it. Give us the next generational RPG that everyone will talk about for the next 10 to 20 years. It's time to do it, and 17 would be the perfect time.
Yeah, Nelson's right. From 93 to 2005, if it had Squaresoft on it, it was 8 or better. Easily. I mean, they hold the greatest game, Chrono Trigger, of all time.
Let's not talk too much about Square Enix, dude. You're wasting a lot of topics.
I want to run the next one.
Going into one of our segments.
All right. Go ahead.
Was this your number 3?
That's my number 3.
All right, number 2. Let me pull it up.
My number 2's, so go into your number 1 because my number 2 was Microsoft. So you're going to do back to back.
Okay. All right. My number 2, Grant. Let me pull this up.
We probably got the same number 1, so this will be good.
Yeah, we'll have the same number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Obsidian. Okay. This is the one that got a lot of backlash from, a lot of their producers or directors coming out on social media and being like completely fucking left field, crazy fucks when it came to their ideologies. And Obsidian, of course, is the game that's about to be released here soon, as you're aware, Avowed, right?
Yeah.
All right. So Avowed, which is their, I guess, next magnum opus.
They're claiming it's going to be the creme de la creme. But you can't say stuff that they've been saying about it and it fall on its face. Because this doing stuff like that will bankrupt your company.
Has anyone seen the gameplay of Avowed? And you're telling me that game is going to be the next big one? The next, it looks like PlayStation 3, but dude, give me a modded Skyrim over that crap. Like, there's nothing new. I mean, like me looking at Avowed is me looking at Concord. Like, what are you giving me that's going to be different than all these other games in that genre? And then let's talk about all those other games we saw when it came to being FPS looking, first person looking. Like the guys who are making all those creators from Doom and all these other games are making that one. I can't remember.
Doom, Dark Ages. Oh, I mean, and that's coming out. All that's coming out.
It's not even just Doom. It's those other games that look fantastic. We showed trailers of them.
Dawn Walker, my lord.
But when it comes to FPS, like there's nothing new that Avowed is. I'm just not excited for it. And I'm not excited for from their little mentality when they coming on social media and talking about all this, like stupid woke bullcrap is what it is.
Yeah.
Activism, and you see all these messages from their like Discord or whatever their thing is, and it's
you got their shields that the same ones that argue with like Smash 18, all them coming out.
GameSpot, they're coming out like, whoa, look at this gameplay footage from this trailer. Anyone with 2 eyes watches that fucking trailer, and they're like, okay, this is like what 10 years ago, fucking Elder. What are you giving me that's going to be different? Well, it's multiplayer, is it? Like, it still looks like shit. Like it's not different looking. All this awesome shit that's coming out here soon that looks really good. That looks revolutionary.
Yeah, and plus it's got and also the people who've been like I said, the ones that have been arguing with like Smash and Grums and all of them have been shilling for this game big time. But they've kind of given themselves the kiss of death because he made the comment, and I wish people would stop making this comment because it has never really worked out well. As they said, the infamous, if you don't like our game, don't buy it.
They were part of making that game. They have a really good track record. They were known before they announced Avowed they had some games before that they were trash too, but they're one of those companies that you would look forward to when they had a game release. Avowed is not catching my attention. It's just
not at all.
And they're just, I had to put them at number 2 because all that they did for Avowed from all the publications, I was just sick and tired of it. Because you're lying to me. I'll go ahead and tell you. You're lying to the gamer with 2 eyes. That when you're telling me when I'm looking at this gameplay trailer that this is awesome, that this is revolutionary, and you're fucking gatekeeping for these guys, like you're just lying. I mean, it's just obvious lies right to a gamer's face.
What's going to happen will be the same thing that happened with Dragon Age. Yeah,
it's going to be selective when it comes to the reviewers.
Same ones.
Early reviews.
Correct.
It's going to be selective.
You'll get 9s and 10s, and then the real reviews will start coming out on Steam, and of course they'll be playing. There'll be a review bomb. This will be the excuse, and then they'll probably start locking up the reviews.
All right, Grant.
Yep.
Damn right. All right, Grant. You ready? Yep. Just go ahead and we might as well just say it. You might as well. We already know what the used to be. Oh man, we saw this company's coming out with another game.
Well, hold on, you skipped number 2. What's your
number 2?
What's your number 2? Oh, what was your number 3?
What was it? I think it was. Let me pull up my images.
I might have messed up. Okay, that's fine.
Your number 2 was Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
Yep. 3. We talked Konami. 2. We talked Bethesda. We talked Blizzard. We talked EA. Firewalk. You gave Square Enix, Ubisoft, Gearbox, Insomniac, BioWare. Or Ubisoft is going to be our number 1. And
number 1 is motherfucking Ubisoft.
Yep. Fucking Ubisoft. Now you put them on the damn board.
Now you want to talk about a company who has wiped their ass with their own body. They have used their hands to wipe the diarrhea off the, and then they wiped their ass with their hand and then decided to rub it all over the walls. Is what they've decided to do. That's what they've done. Not only has their company fallen, but their stocks have fallen as well. Whenever your company is shit and your stocks are shit, it's not a good recipe for success. Ubisoft used to be a name for great games like Rainbow Six, was it Division? Is that what it was? That one? Assassin's Creed, early Assassin's Creed. But boy, they started hitting, but after about 2000, what you want to say, 21?
Well, first, Grant.
When you say
first,
go ahead.
Let's talk about when it comes to our podcast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think almost every other episode, if not 75 to 80% of our episodes, has Ubisoft mentioned in them.
Has a negative story, not something that we've made up, something that they've done.
It all started with, I guess, some other stuff, but the main focus was Assassin's Creed Shadows, of them delaying the game, not once, twice.
But twice.
And their choice and their lies up front, and their, I guess, stealing other, I guess, when it comes to the Japanese history, like when they stole the flag of this reenactment group in Japan and they put it on their collector's edition.
Yeah. Then they put that, what was it, that temple symbol or whatever
gate,
that. Yeah.
A broken Torii Gate, dude. I understand some people not know history.
That is a symbol from Hiroshima.
I'm a World War II history buff. And I'm just, when it comes to that period, I'm a history buff on that. When I saw that Torii Gate, broken, damaged Torii Gate collector's edition item, I was like, surely this is just a joke or someone memeing something, right? Or making fun of Ubisoft. That was 100% fucking real. And then you're having a made up legendary samurai. He's a retainer. You're creating a legend. You're changing history. You know what? Let's go back some more because I want to talk about their historians they got for this game that we talked about.
Oh, yeah.
Thomas Lockley, right?
Surely he's Japanese.
No, he's great. All right, this guy came on an Ubisoft history podcast. They actually have those, but he came on.
Do they really?
Listen to, because they talk of Assassin's Creed, how they try to incorporate real history. This guy came on one of their podcasts and was talking about the historical connection of, what was his name? Yasuke and all this stuff. And then when he was asked, you don't have any connection with Ubisoft when it came to their developing of the historical background for this game? He said no. But it turns out he was one of their main fucking sources for this game. And it was a white guy from the West.
I'm sure,
and then
when
he fell and he got, all right, so
it always is.
We're going to go through the lines here. Okay, so Thomas Lockley, this motherfucker disappeared when he got called out on his historical references of Yasuke and how he's a legendary samurai. Anyway, after that, and all the game pubs were like, oh, fuck, what do we do? And then they pulled this, you know what? We need to find someone in Japan that can back our revision of history for this Assassin's Creed Shadows game. So they grabbed this Japanese guy, and everyone was like, okay, Japanese historian, right?
Uh-oh. He got a little more clout.
This motherfucker turns out to be a damn communist. He's legit part of the Communist Party. You can't make this shit up.
Yeah, I know.
For this guy. And then all that shit backfired. This was just.
Well, this is okay. So let's start from the top again. He said this in episode 4 of our podcast. I guarantee it. They want you to believe, and this is part of life. They came out and said that Yasuke was a legendary samurai. Okay. Is the art of Bushido. Okay. But the thing is he's only trained for 12 months. I don't give a fuck who you are. If you train a martial arts for 12 months, you're not beating people who've trained their whole entire lives at all. Like his enemies, these samurai have been training since they were kids. They're adults. They've been training for 20, 30 years to be being a samurai. You just don't wake up and say, I'm a fucking samurai. Like you got to, I don't know.
History.
Okay. It'd be like this, Ed. I've studied, and the reason why I know is because I've done jujitsu for 6 years. But let's just say this. Let's just say I did taekwondo for a year, right? And I walk into a random taekwondo dojo and I challenge the master. Oh yeah, I'm whooping I'm kicking the shit out of him, right? I'm beating the shit out of him, right? I'm going there as a yellow belt at that time.
Because you
whatever,
said you were
orange belt.
You think you are?
I know because I told it. I looked at him and said, "Sir,"
and everything, right?
I know. I looked at him and I said, "You know what, motherfucker? I trained for 12 months."
Well, the history written before you entered that studio, Grant, to challenge that black belt was that you were a black belt master. So obviously that has to be true.
Oh, yeah.
So that you
I said it
that good, right?
I've said it, but I don't have the belt, nor do I have the longevity enough to say that. But I can say that. I can say it.
Wikipedia, Grant. We can change that.
That's true.
And
that is true.
Make sure no one else can touch it. Hold on.
So the only people, let's just be honest.
They did do this, right? So not only two of their, I guess, experts to back up their claims were complete trash and failed. Then they go to the Wikipedia page on it, and you cannot, motherfucker. They locked that. They changed history right on Wikipedia and locked that motherfucker up.
Yep. So, long story short, is no. The only people that he killed were peasants or samurai who were already dead, or they had no legs, or they're flailing for their life, right? He just put them out of their misery, so to speak. He did not go one-on-one with any samurai. Not at all. Not with 12 months of training.
Legendary fight of Yasuke in records. I mean, no one really knew. I mean, people, they saw anime made about him, right? They made an anime about him.
And that's fine. That's fine.
But
hey, you can,
it's
anime.
Really
you can do whatever you want with it.
He was until all this gatekeeping coming around. Like, oh my God, he is a legendary samurai.
I went to Brazil and I fought Royce Gracie.
Yep.
Whooped his ass.
I did. Yeah.
Beat his ass. I mean, I fucking choked him out. I walked in that bitch and choked his ass out.
Wikipedia later.
Thank you. I was in UFC 1 too. I don't know. This is before the actual video. I was in the preliminaries. They didn't quite show it. I was beating people up, but they just didn't quite. They're like, you know what? You're too good for the show. That's what they told me.
Let's keep adding to Ubisoft. So anyway, so you had all those hiccups. You had the Tory Gate hiccup. You had the taking a reenactment group's flag, and they had to, pull that back. And then not only that, dude, they got the Japanese, the Diet, their Congress or governing or legislative branch, they got involved with this stuff because how crazy this everything revolving around this game. And then they delayed it to, they delayed the first time to change some of that stuff. But now people are talking about, well, why do you have the rice fields right at level with the water and stuff like that? They're going to get flooded. They don't put rice fields right at the level of rivers. And I mean, that can be very, I guess, nitpicking, but there are so many different horrible inaccuracies. On top of that, you made a legendary samurai out of...
Nobody's asking. Here's the main question that nobody asked. Where the fuck was the CEO the whole time?
What was that guy's name? He has some French name. Gliarmont?
I don't know. I picture him, this is how I picture him laying in bed with footy pajamas.
Not doing shit.
Not knowing what the fuck's going on. Like, he has no clue what's going on. His because here's the thing is, for people who don't know, not only is he the CEO, he's also a majority shareholder. That's why he's not been kicked out, because you can't kick him out when you own all the shares. But the thing about it is, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is this guy doing? I imagine him eating fucking cereal in bed and just fucking not knowing what's going on. Like, how do you not know what's going on? And how do you not step in and fix it if you care about your company?
All right, Grant. I'm trying to find it.
It should have been at some point. He should have said, you know what? We're not making this game. There's too much shit behind it. We're scrapping it. We'll work on because they're already working on another one. So we'll move on to that
Grant. Not only did they delay it twice, this is like the cherry on top, dude. They came out with the, they first came out with the delay, sorry gamers and stuff like that. And then they came out the second delay into March 20th, right, of this year. And they're like, sorry, we're just trying to make the perfect game. Well, Grant, you know what day March 20th is in Japanese?
Oh my God. Why would that?
March
you can't
20th
make this up.
Marks the 30th anniversary of the most deadliest modern terrorist attack in Japanese history. And that's the Tokyo subway sarin attack. These motherfuckers, dude. Like, they have no concept. Like, fuck is making decisions at Ubisoft, dude.
I know. It's like they're playing Rocket, Sock, and Robot, but they're kicking each other in the balls instead. That's what they're doing there. And Nelson's right. Yasuke has been there for 18 months. Ain't no one getting a samurai title just being there long enough for a couple. That's right. Exactly. Not at all. You are not beating you are not, first of all, to be a samurai, you have to like be like a peasant, You have to be a student. You don't just say, hey guys, I'm here to be a samurai, I'm here to train Bushido. That's not how it works. You got to be chosen. They just didn't allow you to come in there and do it. A lot of times you had to be part of the family, like part of the clan. They didn't just let you in. It's like the mafia. You have to be fucking. You can't just be like somebody like me. Like, hey, I want to join the Italian mafia. Hey, how you doing?
Dude, this whole Ubisoft rant is going to go in as its own video.
Could you imagine somebody like me try to join the Gambino crime family? Hey, how you doing? Hey, over here. They're like, get out of here.
Pizza that we played earlier.
They're like, hey, get this fasheka out of here.
All right, Grant. All right, folks. To close this, also, Ubisoft had to lay off employees. I think they closed one of their branches. They are in the middle of actually a bankruptcy probably right now. And they're probably going to get bought out here soon by what we're assuming is Tencent, a Chinese company.
And I hope they do.
Those Chinese companies are wanting to get into the West. They want this would be their stepping stone right here, dude. They want it so bad.
This would do it.
They want it so bad. We sit here and say like, oh, I hope Ubisoft is owned by a Chinese company. Well, sorry.
I would rather see. Here's the thing: I would rather see this IP go to somebody who can do it good than it just be continuing being shit like this.
Grant, holy shit.
Simple.